The afternoon seems to go by in a flash. There's more snowboarding, more skiing, more shoving snow in each other's faces. When they get tired, they all sit down and drink more tea in an attempt to keep their hands warm, but in the process, their butts go numb from sitting in the snow. It's good. It's fun. Bakugou finds himself enjoying the time more than he ever thought he would. It feels like a less stressful firehouse environment where instead of being aware that at any moment he would have to run off to put out a blaze, he was blissfully unaware of the rest of the world moving around him. It's a vacation where he finally feels like he wants to stay. There isn't another moment alone with Kirishima, however. Anytime Bakugou attempted, it was quickly ruined, whether it was from one of his friends catching up or Riot running over, trying to tackle either of them down into the snow to play. It was frustrating to say the least, especially now that every single time he looked at Kirishima, all he could focus on were his lips, red and chapped from the cold. Probably terrible right now to kiss, but Bakugou really wanted to see that for himself. Anytime he caught Kirishima's eye for longer than a moment, he could see a red tint rise up in the man's cheeks, telling him that this wasn't just a fluke. Kirishima was well aware of what happened, what almost happened, and Bakugou desperately hoped they'd be able to continue sometime soon, even if the idea made him feel guilty about having it. It feels wrong, as if he's leading Kirishima on with something that won't actually stick. He's not staying after all. He still needs to leave. This isn't his home. These aren't his friends, and Kirishima is a one-night stand, maybe two at best. Whatever fairy tale bubble this space is in will pop eventually. Still, Bakugou can't help himself. He hates it. He's greedy. The sun starts to dip lower in the sky, the bright blue softly giving way to a warm pink as the shadows grow long across the mountain. They pack up finally, tired and worn with hungry stomachs and noses ready to fall off from the cold. Ashido moves towards Sero's car, stating she'll drive back with him this time, which Bakugou quietly thanks her. Nothing's been said, but he figures she's taken note as the day has gone on. As soon as Kaminari turns towards the truck, she's quick to grab his arm and yank him back, shoving him into the back seat of the car as he whines about being delicate and bruising. Again, Bakugou thanks her, knowing for a fact that he would kill the blonde if he came between him and Kirishima again. When Kirishima notices the car arrangement, he pauses with his hand on the door handle, looking back and forth, mouth gaping, and for a second, Bakugou thinks he might have misread the situation entirely. Impossible. Just get in, shitty hair. Bakugou rolls his eyes, slamming his own door shut as he slides into the passenger seat. The nickname is sticking. Kirishima follows along into the car quickly. It doesn't feel right to jump a guy while he's driving, especially while trying to navigate through thick snow, and even more so with his dog in the back seat. It becomes even more of a bad idea with Bakugou knowing the trio is following close behind them, and any jerking movements from the truck would signal something is wrong. Still, as they make their way down the mountain, Bakugou thinks about it. He thinks about Kirishima in his house, walking around without a shirt on near constantly, never seeming to get cold, and wonders just how warm he would be in bed. Bakugou might not even need a blanket with that warm, muscled weight on top of him. He thinks about his bright smile, even brighter eyes, and can feel his chest tighten at the mental image. They're close, so close right now in his truck. All Bakugou has to do is lean across the console and take him. It's bad. He shouldn't. Bakugou would never call himself desperate, but he's starting to understand what people mean when they say it. Hey. Bakugou startled out of his own thoughts by Kirishima breaking the silence between them. He looks to the redhead, quirking a brow up at him in response. If you wanted, you could stay at the inn until you leave. Kirishima is biting at his lip, hands ringing against the steering wheel. We can go get your bags and... Bakugou interrupts him. Why the fuck would I want to do that? He knows he's not very good with bedroom eyes or whatever the fuck, but he figured Kirishima wasn't dense enough to think he didn't like the advances they've made. Maybe Bakugou should have said something when they got into the truck alone. Maybe he shouldn't have just stared out the window again, or maybe he should have jumped across to straddle his lap. At the very least, he hadn't figured the silence would scare him away. Or maybe now that Kirishima did have time to think about it, he realized his own mistake. Well, you know... Kirishima says, still biting his lip, not making eye contact with Bakugou's burning gaze. I'm not really sure I have electricity still, and you could have your own space so you're more comfortable. You think I'm not comfortable with you? Bakugou scoffs, crossing his arms now, feeling all those warm, tingly feelings quickly disappear. Kirishima hesitates, obviously not wanting to say more, lest he makes Bakugou more irritated. Of course, this was too good to be true. The afternoon went too well, and Bakugou got dazzled by all the happy-go-lucky bullshit surrounding everyone. It was stupid to even think Kirishima would want to do anything. He should have known he was reading the whole thing completely wrong. Whatever. At the very least, he didn't have to worry about feeling guilty anymore. If you don't want me to stay with you, just fucking... It's not that. Kirishima's voice is loud in the small space. Bakugou feels like he wants to punch him. Then what? Your nightmares. I figured, well... The anger in his veins dissipates immediately, replaced with an ice that leaves the rest of his body feeling hollowed out and heavy. The wind is knocked from his chest as though he's in a car crash all over again, trying to figure out what the hell just happened. I'm sorry. Kirishima is quick to apologize as soon as he sees Bakugou freeze. I just thought it wouldn't help. Bakugou says, turns away from Kirishima, slumping back down into his seat, feeling gutted and guilty. He shouldn't have snapped so quickly, so easily. Kirishima was just trying to be considerate. He wanted to help him. But good God, he hates whenever people do. He sighs, pressing his cheek against the truck's window, feeling the cold sink back into him. His head is really starting to pound. It would probably make them worse, actually. Worse? Kirishima asks, and Bakugou knows that tone of voice, knows where this question leads. He doesn't want to deal with this, not from Kirishima. He doesn't want worry from a stranger, pity. Why would it make things worse? Bakugou thinks about what his therapist would say, thinks about the long, drawn-out sessions back in his teens and early 20s, about how to deal with his emotions in a healthy way, about communication, about how he doesn't always have to explode at people in defense. It's annoying. He doesn't want to, but he knows he also owes Kirishima just this small amount after snapping. Still, he can feel how his throat tightens before he speaks. Fuck emotions. They come out with new environments. Sleeping in strange places. Going to stay in some dumb little hotel with cramped walls, I don't know, will make it fucking worse. At least I kinda know where I am with you. He really doesn't mean it like that, not on purpose, but Bakugou can tell it was a good thing to say. Kirishima seems to relax a little bit more beside him, his knuckles gaining back color as the grip he had on the wheel loosens. His shoulders let down the weight of this conversation, and it makes Bakugou feel like he can breathe easier now. Know where I am with you. It's not wrong, but it's not right. Bakugou feels like he dodged a bullet, but the air around them is still thick with a different kind of tension, as though they're back laying on top of each other in the snow. The drive ends far too soon while still feeling too long. When they enter back onto Main Street, Bakugou can tell. It's not the buildings that give it away, but the lights. There's a rainbow hue in the air surrounding everything. Fairy lights flicker in bushes, raveled up trees, hanging from every roof and gutter his eyes can see. Giant luminescent candy canes glow all along one storefront, while another has a full display of Santa and his sleigh waving from the rooftop with all 9 reindeer ready to fly off into the sky. The town seems so much quieter in the daytime, dead and dormant, and now with the sun finally setting into a single thin line of orange on the horizon, the town wakes up. It shines. Bakugou doesn't think he's seen anything like it and doesn't think he ever will again. It's blinding and bright, and even if the radio is not on in the car, he swears he can hear the cheering of Christmas music playing softly in the distance. He wonders if that's real or if his brain is just filling in the gaps. Holy fucking shit. It's awe-inspiring and terrifying all at once. Kirishima looks so pleased as they keep driving down Main Street to the end at the end of it all. Yeah, I had to fix a couple things this morning to make sure nothing was super damaged from the storm, but I think it's pretty good this year, huh? Bakugou feels like he needs to shield his eyes. You put all this shit up? He knows Ashido mentioned him helping people out with their decorations, but this seems ridiculous. He shrugs. Mostly only the big stuff on the roofs or things that require ladders. I lend a hand here and there when I can. What bullshit? Complete and utter bullshit. Bakugou's dead positive that the overly helpful ray of fucking sunshine and Santa's official holiday elf would put all the lights and statues up even if no one else was around. He'd decorate the entire town on his own if need be, and he'd probably enjoy it. And for some odd reason, that thought makes Bakugou's heart start beating faster against his ribs like the traitor that it is. Kirishima honestly can't be real. Come on, he says, parking in the same spot he had that morning. We can eat here with everyone, just in case there's no power when we get back. Sero's car is just coming down the street with the rest of their ragtag group, and Bakugou figures they'd have to wait, but apparently no one here locks doors either. Even with no one at the inn, no one manning the desk at all, Kirishima enters without issue, the bell chiming happily above to welcome them back. Bakugou does spot a little sign at one of the windows that he knows is part of the diner that says closed, but obviously that doesn't matter too much. The lights are on inside still, though Kirishima is quick to go plug in the Christmas tree. His face brightens just as the tree does, sparkling with the little spots of pinks and greens and blues all dotting around the pine branches, weaving in and out as they twinkle in an unsynchronized rhythm. All the little cranes hiding along the needles are seen as soon as the nearest light shines on them. Bakugou thinks they look like little monsters peeking out, but he doesn't comment.
Sero.
Ashido and Kaminari say together as they too come in from the cold. Kaminari is already peeling off his thick outer layer, getting wet snow everywhere in the lobby.
We're hungry.
Sero rolls his eyes, heading into a safe haven of a kitchen, flipping them both off as he passes them by. The air still smells slightly of sugar and vanilla from the morning. And I still need to prepare cakes. You two can feed yourselves. The pair whine again, throwing themselves down into booths in the restaurant, flopping dramatically out of the long seats. Bakugou kicks them both, seeing as they've made it so easy. Oi, idiot children. I can cook. What the fuck do you want? They all talk at once, Kirishima included, to which Bakugou very easily ignores them all because they're loud, jumble, and he's kind of used to it from also working with a bunch of loud idiots. Typically, if he's working a shift for dinner, he'd cook for everyone too. Mostly because no one else really could, and they've had to put out more than one fire in their own kitchen at the firehouse when certain members got too close to the stove. Those nights they enjoyed because they knew they'd be fed well, and it also normally meant Bakugou was in a good mood, willing to sit around the table with them to eat. They're all still shouting out suggestions as Bakugou heads back to check what's available in the fridge. Kaminari wants burgers. Ashido keeps slamming her hands down on the countertop with cries of some sort of vegetable combination that's apparently left over in the fridge, and Kirishima sounds like he'd be okay with anything that was previously alive. When he meets Sero's eyes in the back kitchen, he's given a sympathetic look even as Bakugou's eye twitches. Future hint, never give him a choice. He winks before turning back to slicing the huge bowl of strawberries for the cakes. Bakugou takes the advice to heart and gets to work. He's not being nice, he says, just that it's easier to make them all hamburger steaks in the end. Nothing about appeasing Kaminari or Kirishima. He does find the veggies that Ashido was screaming about too. Lotus root, mushrooms, turnips, cabbage. He much prefers cooking in the summer when there's more in season, but he makes do as he always does even if he knows the colors are off. Cutting and frying and getting everything together. It takes some time. The trio in the sitting area have quieted down to a soft rumble of conversation beyond the kitchen walls. Sero is focused on finishing the cakes, or as many as he can, and once more they move around each other well. Bakugou asks where pans are, where he keeps seasoning, and is always answered with a sharp gesture towards one cabinet or another. At some point, Kirishima wanders in, drawn by his nose, Bakugou figures, and starts to hover. He finds a stool to sit on eventually when Bakugou has to smack him for getting too close, so he settles and just watches. Even in the industrial kitchen, him being there feels domestic. He watches and doesn't try to force conversation, appearing to just want to be close and provide company, even with Sero already on the other side of the kitchen taking up space. Bakugou doesn't mind. He should. He hates when anyone is in his kitchen while he's working, but he doesn't. When he's all done, burgers made, vegetables fried, rice sitting steaming in the cooker, he gets Kirishima to help him carry all the dishes out, setting them out on one of the larger booths in the diner. They gather Sero, pulling Kaminari and Ashido from the small nap they were taking on the counter, and gather close to eat. They thank Bakugou for cooking, for the meal, and dig in. The meal is loud and jovial. The dark winter night outside the window glowing bright with all the lights, the little town street quiet beyond the windows of the diner where it seems the only life on earth thrives. Softly it starts to snow. Bakugou and Kirishima sit shoulder to shoulder, the booth not quite large enough for all of them to sit within comfortably with all the plates and bowls on the table, but it works. Kirishima keeps bumping his elbow into Bakugou as he reaches for more, and every time Bakugou turns, he runs quickly into Kirishima's side. Neither of them say anything. It's close and warm, and their tired, well-worked limbs thawed out with the food, bellies full and happy. It's nice. The little bell of the inn chimes, cutting through their conversation, which makes Riot start barking, running from his position under one table to greet the new guests. Though it doesn't take a second longer to realize who it is as Tetsu comes yelling through the diner. "You ate without us." "We're inside, Tetsu dear, no need to yell. Besides, I fed you an hour ago." Of course, Kirishima scrambles up to greet his cousin in a big bear hug which nearly looks like it may end in a wrestling match on the floor if it went on any longer. But thankfully they pull apart, and Kirishima is soon scooping up a red-haired woman into his arms. "Itsuka, I'm so glad you made it out." She laughs, patting Kirishima on the back, not looking uncomfortable at all in his tight grip. "We're not exactly busy at the garage. I figured I could take a break to come say hi to everyone and meet the mysterious stranger." Bakugou rolls his eyes, again with the mysterious stranger bullshit. "That's fine. We're all friends now, right, Baku bro?" Kaminari throws him a thumbs up and Bakugou scoffs. Tetsu huffs himself. "Don't listen, he's an ass." "Takes one to know one, dick." Kirishima is quick to get between them, Itsuka also keeping a tight hold on her husband as she pinches his arm with a smile on her face as she pushes through the men to finally get to Bakugou. Tetsu, Itsuka. Nice to finally meet you. My husband's been talking about you all day." Again, Bakugou rolls his eyes, but takes her outstretched hand anyway. Her grip is firm, the calluses on her fingers and palms rough against his own, telling of how hard she works. He can appreciate that. "Bakugou Katsuki, I'm sure that's been annoying as shit to listen to." She smiles. "He's not as rough around the edges as he might seem, I swear. Just doesn't like strangers, especially ones that get close to his family." The smile on her lips doesn't just look friendly now, it looks knowing. Bakugou bites at his tongue and tries not to think too hard about that. He wonders if Ashido and Itsuka talk a lot or if every woman in this town can just read him far, far too well. Either way, it's a little unnerving. He drops her hand. "Whatever. There's still plenty of food if you want some." "Hey, Kirishima." The man perks up. "Can I borrow your phone again?" "Oh, yeah, of course." He excuses himself, getting up to make room for the couple to pile in. The booth still isn't big enough. A chair needs to be pulled up, but no one moves to make space at another booth. They make it work. Bakugou grabs the offered phone with a grumbled out thank you as he walks off towards the lobby for some sort of privacy. He doesn't need all of them listening into his personal life, gossiping, and God forbid his mother hears any of them in the background. He'd never be able to hang up. After a few rings, his mom picks up even though it's his dad's number. Even if he already realized this would happen, Bakugou's not entirely prepared to hear her voice again. "This better be you, Brett." He sighs heavily into the phone, pinching the bridge of his nose. "You know, I could just never call you instead, hag." His mother sounds tired. It's getting late. They've probably already eaten themselves, which means they've probably already polished off a bottle of wine between them, working on a second. They always drink wine on winter holidays. Still, the bite isn't as harsh in her voice as it typically is. She's probably been worried. Not that she would ever admit to something like that. He gets his stubbornness from his mother, after all. Listen, I just wanted to let you and Dad know that I'm fine.
Kotsky, you were in a goddamn car wreck and snowed in some weird place. How the hell am I supposed to know you're fine?
Do I sound like I'm dying to you, huh? I can take care of myself. I'm a fucking adult.
Don't speak to me like that, you brat. I'm allowed to worry about my son.
And I said I'm fine. Bakugou hisses, turning his back to the entrance to the diner and taking a few steps away, just in case. In the background, he can still hear everyone talking, but it seems to have gotten a little softer now. He refuses to turn around just in case they're all staring. I'm still staying with the guy who found me. I met all his stupid friends. I just can't leave with all the snow, so whenever I can, I'm just going home after all this shit. There's a pause, a long one, which means his mother is thinking, and that's dangerous, and he realizes his mistake a second too late.
You met his friends.
God damn it. Mom, don't do this shit.
Shut up. When the hell's the last time you made a friend? Is this guy cute? You were always good on bringing condoms, but...
No, shut the fuck up. I'm hanging up now. Bye.
Kotsky.
He clicks the end call button before anything else can be said. He's positive she'll be gushing about how much progress he's made with his dad or some shit, and the very last thing he needs is his mother asking about his sex life, which she has before, multiple times. It's horrible. One more call. This one might even be worse. It only rings once before being picked up.
Midoriya's phone, Uraraka speaking.
The universe really wants him to break something. Round face, why the fuck are you answering Deku's phone?
Oh, Bakugou, how's your trip?
I hit a tree and bunked up with strangers. Where's Deku? She pauses. Bakugou growls.
How are you just breezing over being in a car accident? Does Midoriya know that?
He doesn't need to know dick. Only thing he needs to do is take care of my cat.
Which he is, thank you very much.
She huffs in his ear.
He's actually feeding her right now, and honestly, who spoils a cat with fresh fish every day? She eats better than I do.
If you're so jealous, tell Deku to stop being a cheap ass and take you out for a real fucking meal.
He takes me out plenty. You're the one spending half his paycheck on a cat.
She's mine. What the fuck do you care how much I spend on her? They go around like this for a few more minutes, back and forth, most of their relationship exactly this. Uraraka is one of the only people he knows that will actually snap back at him, giving just as much shit as he does. It's grown into something of a mutual respect for one another over the years, and he still can't believe Deku of all people is dating her. He leans against the nearest wall, the Christmas tree right beside him. He flicks at a few of the lights, watching them dance. Cat's good though, right? Bakugou hears the smile in her voice.
Yeah, she's fine. Scratched Midoriya a few times, but I think she's warming up to him.
Traitor. She snorts.
And how are you? Sound okay for a guy who apparently ran into a tree with his car.
He shrugs. A guy dragged me out and brought me to the town he lives in. I'm crashing at his place for a bit. It's nice.
Nice.
Bakugou winces as the word is repeated to him.
Since when is anything in your life nice? This guy must be something special.
Fuck's sake, I've only known him for 3 days.
That's not a no, Bakugou. What's his name?
No way. Oops, look at that. Gotta go, round face.
Bakugou?
Tell Deku he's a nerd for me.
You're a jerk.
He hangs up without actually saying goodbye. Letting out a heavy sigh as he lets his head rest against the wall. He doesn't need to have anyone else getting involved in his life. No details are needed when he's not going to see Kirishima or anyone else again by the end of the week. All he's got to do is get through Christmas, rent a car from somewhere, and drive back home. Easy. No one needs to get excited over something that won't happen. He opens his eyes, not realizing he closed them, and ends up meeting Kirishima's own gaze across the way. He's standing in the doorway between the lobby and the diner. His expression carries too much concern, and Bakugou doesn't like the tug his stomach makes at that realization. He shouldn't want. He can't want. It's not like he'll be able to keep it. Everything okay? Bakugou pushes himself up from the wall, letting his eyes drop as he hands the phone back to Kirishima. Yeah, everything's fine. Think I'm just getting tired. Kirishima gives him a smile. It's perfectly warm and welcoming and genuinely happy, just like they all have been. Bakugou feels like he's doing something wrong being able to see it, like he doesn't deserve this. Uraraka is right. Kirishima is special. It's just Bakugou who's not. Want to go home now? He likes the word home. The pull of the cottage in the woods far, far away from everything and everyone sounds perfect with its multiple blankets, warm fireplace, and the handsome man who lives there. Bakugou can't like that. Yeah, he says, returning Kirishima's smile as much as he can. It feels like a lie. Let's go.